Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is Bolt from the Blue Tarot. My name is Sam. Um, I'm an intuitive reader and I read for your highest good and the highest good of all. I love to read stories. So that's what I asked Spirit to show us. Some good stories. Um, as I was tuning in for this reading, here's some of the things I picked up. And you can just take this as confirmation. There might be some synchronicities in here for someone. Or something, just listen because something that I mentioned here might crop up for you later on today, later on this week. So, first thing I saw was someone aiming an arrow into the sky. So, someone here might be aiming higher than they're used to aiming. Someone here might be being pulled back for a huge slingshot forward and upward. It might not even be, like it might be a lot higher than you're aiming, where Spirit's trying to send you. I saw some M&Ms arranged by color. I have a friend who does this, who arranges them in his palm by color in like a triangular formation. So if you do similar things with your M&Ms, look into the tetractys. You might have, that might hold something for you to learn there. I got some song lyrics. Memory, All Alone in the Moonlight. I don't know this song. Maybe you do. I saw popcorn popping and just multiplying like crazy inside of a popcorn machine. So this might be that, something you planted seeds for in the past are about to just blow up in the best possible way, in a delicious way. It might be, something in your life really multiplying, but take it as it resonates. I saw a pillar, like a supportive stone pillar with a woman carved into it, maybe an ancient Greek goddess. It looked like something of that era. Small gooey chocolate chip cookies cooking in an oven. Lucky you if that's you. One, like a single green lean-to tent at a campsite. And then fractals in nature. So if one of you here has been wondering whether, like if you've been meaning to look into fractals but you haven't yet, this is your signal. Do it. Check it out. There's something for you to learn there. All right, let's get an energy to frame this reading. I'm looking at the Wisdom from the Epics of Hind deck. And this is a deck of stories from the Indian subcontinent, from the Hindu tradition. And each of them has a little something to teach us. So this is Dăichiti's Magnanimity. Dăichiti's Magnanimity. Seeing the purple, I'm seeing this skeleton in front of him. He's sitting on a pink lotus. Interesting. Okay. Let's see what the book for this deck has to say about this card. Oh, you know what, guys? I just opened to a different card called Arjuna's Aim, and it's an image of a guy shooting a bow and arrow into the sky. So we're gonna read that one as well. One fine morning, the royal guru Drona took the young prince of Hastinapur to a forest to teach them archery. He had placed a wooden bird with black eyes high up on one of the tall trees. Yudhishthira, being the eldest, got the first turn to aim for the bird's eye. When Drona asked him what he could see, Yudhishthira replied, "I can see the tree, the branches, the leaves, and the bird on it as well." Drona asked him to step back. One by one, many of the other princes tried, but none of them got the permission to shoot. Soon it was Arjuna's turn. When Drona asked him the same question, he replied, "I can see the black eye of the bird." Drona asked again, "Are you sure? Look again. Can't you see the tree?" Arjuna replied, "I can see only the eye of the bird and nothing else." Very pleased with the answer, Drona asked Arjuna to shoot. Arjuna's arrow found the eye of the bird, a direct hit. Arjuna grew to be one of the best archers the world had seen. Oh, guys, that's awesome. So there's a single-mindedness in your aim here. Whatever you have your eye on, keep your eye on it. Don't get distracted. Some of the questions that come along with this one. Do you set goals for yourself? Do you revisit your goals and make note of how far you've come? What do you do to ensure you hit your target? Do you know why you want to achieve the goal that you have in mind right now? Why you want to achieve the goal? That is very important. The main message here, if you're to take away one message, discipline and focus will take you to the peak of success. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Discipline, focus, single-mindedness, aim, goals. All right. So for Dăichiti's magnanimity, Dăichiti was a very revered and powerful sage, so powerful that even Lord Indra was insecure and jealous of him. Indra had tried to ruin his penance in the past and had even tried to kill him. Dăichiti had a lot of boons. Among them was a boon from Lord Shiva that made his bones harder than diamonds, and another was the boon of being able to die only when he wished to. Yeah, these are pretty big boons, I guess. It so happened that the gods were driven out of heaven by a serpent called Vritra, who had held the waters of the world, causing intense suffering to both the gods and humans. The only way to defeat him was by using a Vajra, a mighty weapon that had the strength of diamonds and the power of thunderbolts. When Indra learned that I love these stories. When Indra learned that the ritual club could only be fashioned from Dăichiti's bones, he knew he was neither going to get Dăichiti's forgiveness nor his bones, especially after what had passed between them. To Indra's shame, shock, and surprise, Dăichiti immediately agreed. He used his boon to release his life force, his prana, from his body. Indra won the war, using the Vajra made not just out of Dăichiti's bones, but from his magnanimity. Ooh. Indra won the war using the Vajra made not just out of Dăichiti's bones, but from his magnanimity. Can you think of a time in your life when you have been magnanimous? Can you think of an incident where another has been magnanimous with you? How did it change your life? Would you reach out and help a person in pain, even if you don't like them? Why? Message: only the abundant can give with joy. You are truly blessed to be so abundant. The universe remembers the good you have done, even if you don't. Receive with open arms, give with a full heart. Okay, so something here about pursuing your goals single-mindedly with magnanimity for former foes or someone who would stand in your way. Be gracious. Show mercy, right? Forgiveness. These are all aspects of magnanimity because it takes a big person, a powerful person, to be magnanimous. All right, so we have that energy going in. This is very interesting. I can't wait to see the rest of the cards here. I'm going to do a 3-card spread with this Oracle of Destiny deck. And just go based off of, not what the book says, but off of intuition based on the art. I really love the art from this deck. All right, we have square. You might be a bit of a square. I'm just kidding. Head, dream. Oh, Jupiter again. As the 3rd card in this spread. think in a phrase, a voyage of transformation leading to personal power. This is an inward voyage, though. There might even be a caution here against... I think there's a caution here against going outside of yourself for these answers, or mistaking movement as the necessary journey. Because oftentimes to go on this sort of journey, we don't need movement, we actually need stillness, complete, utter stillness. Because only then can we hold in our hands this gentle butterfly. Only then will we not crush its wings. Only then will we understand the subtle things it wants to whisper to us, right? It's kind of like our soul. Our soul is sometimes the quieter voice when compared with the noise of this world. Now, how do we know it? Because of its beauty. Because of how it reflects beauty. Ugh. This is such a beautiful card. And this is the true route to power. You see a lot of people in the world with power over others who don't have this mastery of themselves. They don't know who they are. They don't even know, like they wouldn't recognize the butterfly if they saw it, because they would be too busy looking at everything around it, the trees, the forest, things that they could monetize or use in a mundane way. This is interesting. All right. If you guys are still with me, I'm so grateful to have you here. This is getting esoteric. I'm going to go inward. 9 of Cups. Six of Batons. The King. Just like the mind of the universe, I'm a sucker for symmetry. So what we have here is a split. This card literally is like divorce, separation. But often I find this comes up for me in terms of a split between my divine masculine and divine feminine aspect, or my more divine feminine side, the one that's more tapped in to spirit, the one that's intuitive and psychic, the one that can hear the whispers of the butterfly as she holds it in her hand, right? So she's turning towards, and I read these cards like Egyptian hieroglyphics, just because of the theme and because of the recommendations of the author. And every time I pull spreads, it's just like the clearest way to read them. It makes the most sense. Anyway, she is looking towards these cups because in her lies this potential for abundance. And he is looking towards the King, which in some senses is like in some spreads, this is like an emperor power of self, But what the card actually says is the king controls his subjects through fear. So I find this often, that my more masculine doing side is actually less the divine masculine and more, I don't know what to call him, like the grocery list masculine, the like taskmaster, the one who feels like I should be doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff, or busyness is close to godliness in some way. Like this one that's been brainwashed by our society to think that movement is action. That I should constantly be producing instead of resting, that I should be going outwards instead of inwards, right? So there may be a split here in your focus, if we take it back to the Epics of Hind cards that we pulled at the beginning. You may be, like your divine feminine, may be focused on cultivating these intuitive skills, or residing close to spirit, meditating, becoming one with source, resting, rejuvenating. And your masculine side, or the masculinity that you've been trained into by society, that teaches you to go, 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 may be distracting you from this. It may be pointing you in other directions, and these may be directions that you feel like, well, I need to do this out of a place of lack, right? He controls his subjects through fear. So this can be very egoic. This can be like, well, if I don't do this, I'll lose all control, or I ought to do this. I was raised to do these, like to check these things off the checklist as soon as they come up, and clear the decks and answer every email, right? And it's just, whatever you're wanting to do on this end is motivated by lack and fear, and it may play into the hands of people who want you to play small. So the counterintuitive thing, because we think of that archery discussion, and we think of a very, like, it's a bunch of princes, right? A bunch of would-be kings. It's kind of a masculine environment. There's like a challenge, a sporting challenge going on. But whatever aspect of you is encouraging you to focus inward, is the aspect of you that's focused solely on the eye of the bird. It's the one that's going to hit the mark if you don't allow yourself to be distracted. In terms of this magnanimity, I'm going to say that this is actually towards yourself, or towards society at large. So on the search to balance this masculine and feminine, when we live in a very masculine society, one that values purposive action over rest, recuperation, one that values logic over intuition, we will find ourselves falling into the kingdom of the ego, the sway of the ego, more often than not, because that's just how we've been programmed to behave in the world. And it takes a lot of reprogramming, deprogramming to get to a point where you're even balanced in the two, never mind acting primarily in your divine feminine. So you are a person of power, forgiving yourself as you grow and make mistakes. Because what you're training yourself to do is act more as your higher self. And your higher self is magnanimous and magnanimous for days, like unendingly so. Spirit is patient. Spirit is wise. Spirit waits until you're ready, right? And always forgives. So try to embody your highest self as you make mistakes, slip up, and fall back into this state. And it's difficult, but how you'll know is that you don't just see the bird, you see everything around the bird and get distracted by it, and it pulls you in a million different directions. But that will change over time as you train yourself to do this. It's an unlearning as much as anything. And it's less, like the less forceful you make this of a training, the more effortlessly this will flow. The more magnanimous you are, the more forgiving of yourself for these small mistakes, these growing pains. View them as that. Forgive yourself immediately, right? And that kind of gentleness will speed this up a whole lot. Let's see if we can get one card from from my storybook deck to sort of cap this off. Oh, Mad-Eye Moody yelling at Harry Potter. So this is in the fourth movie, The Goblet of Fire. When he's in this challenge and he doesn't understand, he's like outclassed by all of the other competitors who are older than him. They're better at magic. They have more skills on paper. They're geniuses, these people he's competing against, and he feels like, well, I'm just Harry, like I don't have any special skills, but he's the effing chosen one, and he's trying to solve this in all of the ways that other people would solve this. He's trying to he's beating his head against the wall, and he's trying to take all of this action to try and solve it. But he's encouraged to do a couple of things, one of which is to take this puzzle box, this egg that he's been given, and he's encouraged to go have a bath. Like sometimes, if I have a bath and I think things over, then things just tend to come to me. And that speaks to sinking into this divine feminine and the problems just sort of unwinding like a tense muscle or a knot. Put them in water, right? And they relax. And these things just sort of solve them. Like you allow the problem to solve itself a lot of times. And he submerges this egg in water. And if my memory serves, it's been a minute, but this is what it is able to open the egg. And he gets the next clue. But then he's faces this challenge where he has to almost fight a dragon. And he doesn't know how he's going to do it without being burnt to a crisp. But Mad-Eye Moody, this teacher at Hogwarts, yells at him and he's like, what are your strengths? Play to your strengths, right? And this is the advice he gives him because they're not allowed to help him win because it's like a competition between schools, so the teachers aren't allowed to help. But this is the hint he gives him. So remember to lean into your strengths, especially your feminine strengths, the ones linked with intuition and your spiritual gifts, the ones that allow you to become magnetic and attract opportunities to you. Just remember that your strengths, whatever they are, and however tangentially they might seem to be related to whatever you're looking at, they're God-given. Like your natural strengths are a form of divine power flowing through you. So let's see. I'm trying to think what else about this card might be relevant to you. There's advice here to take a novel approach. Just because others don't do it doesn't mean it won't work. And it will actually work better if you incorporate your own natural strengths into whatever this is that you're looking at. Something else about this card. So this, like they set up this game, and what he ends up doing is like he can fly on a broomstick much better than anyone else that he knows, and it's a natural ability for him. He doesn't understand why. He just knows he's a good flyer, right? And so what he ends up doing is finding a way to bring his broomstick into the challenge, because he's not allowed to go in with it, but he summons it with magic. And it's not explicitly forbidden, so it's allowed. All right? This is a very nuanced thing. So there are two perspectives. The negative, I view it as the negative. If the rule book doesn't mention it, then you can't do it. And this is what small-minded people will tell you. Versus the positive way of looking at this, which is if the rule book doesn't mention it, it's fair game, right? Like be the one that makes them revise the rule book, because they're like, I didn't even think that anyone would try that or think that was possible. I never even thought it up. In all of the years that the game has been played, no one has ever thought to do this. And they didn't ask permission, they just did it. And that's what you have to do. Don't ask permission, just do it. Whatever this is. And be magnanimous to the small-minded people who can't see the wisdom in what you're doing. All right, guys, I think this maybe wasn't the most concrete, but I think this will help. There were messages for several people who needed to hear them, so I'm happy with it. I hope you all are having just the best day. I know that you will. Once this butterfly alights in your hand and you decide, I want more of this, listen to your soul. All right. Love you guys.